actually wore one of my favorite pairs of Jordan 1s to see this movie because you got to come correct when you're going to see Air, man. It's Mike. You got to wear the shoes when you're going to see the movie. If you got them, wear them when you go see the movie.
Bing bong.
We're talking about Air, the movie about how Nike signed Michael Jordan and completely transformed their basketball division for years to come, but also how Michael Jordan completely transformed the sneaker world forever with his signature shoe, the Air Jordan 1. Now, I am a huge sneakerhead, but I also did not know too much about the history of Nike signing Michael Jordan. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't know if my affinity for sneakers has completely altered the way I view this movie. I thought it was absolutely fascinating. If you are not as into shoes or business or Michael Jordan, I cannot say for sure if you are going to find this movie as interesting as I did, but it is an incredibly well-made, well-acted movie. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, super excited to see those two on screen together. Matt Damon playing Sonny Vaccaro, the man who is obsessed with trying to find a way to get enough money from his Nike overlords to sign Michael Jordan to be the signature athlete of their basketball division. Ben Affleck not only acts in the movie, he is the director. He is a fantastic director. This movie is so well made. It looks really good. Now, aside from me being a sneakerhead and just being excited about this film to learn a little bit more about the history of Michael Jordan and the shoes that became so famous, I'm also a big Ben Affleck fan. I think Ben makes a lot of really good movies, especially when he's behind the camera. And when he's on camera as well, he's a really good actor. He does both in this movie alongside Matt Damon, and I think these two, when they're on the screen together, are so great. But the person I really want to shout out, because for a long time, I have felt she is one of the greatest actors of all time. Viola Davis, who plays Michael Jordan's mother, incredible. She makes acting look so effortless. I will say it every single time I see her in anything. Viola Davis is one of the greatest actors in the world. Probably one of the greatest actors to ever live. My goodness, Viola Davis absolutely does an incredible job in her role in this movie. I just love watching her in movies. She is fantastic. Viola Davis, national treasure. There are a lot of things in this film that I was originally not aware of. And I know when a lot of these stories get the Hollywood treatment, there's always going to be certain things that didn't actually happen, or maybe they didn't happen exactly the way they do in the movie. Like, you sort of hear about something kind of in passing, and then you see it take place in the film, and you're like, oh, that is fascinating. I personally think a lot of this, like, business deal, transaction, signing people, I think that stuff is really interesting. And I had no idea a lot about what company Michael Jordan was originally going to go to. I did not know how hard Nike had to work and sort of like maneuver themselves in order to put them in a position where he would want to sign with Nike. And I did know that at the time, Converse was like the biggest basketball shoe. Everybody was wearing Converse back in the day in the NBA, but there are a lot of little things that I was not aware of in terms of where this story originates and how it all transpires. It's really interesting, and it's well done, because sometimes when you have movies like this where you're not going to see Michael Jordan playing basketball in this movie, so it's not a sports movie. This is like a Jerry Maguire type of thing. Even though in that movie, I think you actually do see Cuba Gooding Jr. play football, and there is not really any basketball playing going on in this film. So because of that, I think the question I went in with is like, is this capable of holding the attention? Because you've got this massive figure that the film is centered around, Michael Jordan, the greatest athlete of all time. I'm sure you could argue it. He's easily the greatest basketball player ever. And I love LeBron James, and Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time. When you're not going to really be seeing any basketball, I'm a little bit worried of like, can the film like this really hold my attention? But it does. This is an incredibly well done, well-paced film that from start to end is always interesting. You're always learning something new. I think that whether or not you actually care about shoes or basketball or business or any of these things, there is a story here that is really fascinating. And you also see throughout this that Michael Jordan's mother was very protective of her son. She knew what he was capable of. Michael Jordan was a generational talent when he was playing basketball, and his mom did not want him to be treated as anything less than that. So there's a lot of really interesting, heartwarming stuff in this film that I was not aware of, but there are some clips towards the end of Michael Jordan giving an actual speech that he made at the Hall of Fame, and he references his mom who's there watching, and it's just very touching, and I really enjoyed this film. I love sneakers, so obviously this film I thought was awesome. Seeing like how they came up with the idea for the Jordan 1, such a recognizable sneaker. I actually wore one of my favorite pairs of Jordan 1s to see this movie, because you got to come correct when you're going to see Air, man. It's Mike. You got to wear the shoes when you're going to see the movie. If you got them, wear them when you go see the movie. I think at the very least, it's unspokenly mandatory that you got to be wearing the Jordans when you go to see the movie. This film lived up to everything I wanted it to be. It's one of my favorite movies of the year so far, and it's always exciting when you see the trailer for a movie. Trailer looks great, you're excited about what the movie is actually about, and you go see it and they knock it out of the park. This movie is fantastic. If you get an opportunity, absolutely go check it out.